Today, I'm going to be doing a review on set number 75347, aka the TIE Bomber. This set released in 2023 for a retail price of $65, and this set has 625 pieces and 4 figures. First up, we have this Darth Vader, which is a pretty common character. He has come in multiple sets, but to be fair, it is really good. LEGO did a pretty good job on this figure. First up, the printing on his torso and legs is very good, and he even does have a very nice arm print and a predictable back print. And he does have the very nice spongy cape, and he does still use the two-part helmet, which underneath does have a very nice face print. But I do still wish that his eyes had some dark red printing. Next up, we do have a very nice TIE Pilot, which this is a very good figure. He has great printing on his torso and legs, and he still uses the normal helmet mold, which has some nice Imperial printing on the top, and some printing for his mouth. But there is still a massive gap at the back, and this is his face underneath. Now, the best figure in the set is the Imperial Gonk Droid. On the sides, he does have some very nice printing for an Imperial logo, and the same is on the other side, and even on the back, there is some Arbesh printing, which translates to cargo. And this whole piece is actually a storage crate, so you can take the top off and maybe put something in there. But there's nothing included in the set that you're meant to put in there. And for his little visor thing, he does use a very nice dark gray ingot, and some pretty nice legs. And finally, we have Vice Admiral Sloane. This is a very nice figure with a pretty nice torso print, but I do wish that he used the dual molded legs. And surprisingly, LEGO didn't include a second face, and she does use this very nice hairpiece. Now for the actual ship. Overall, it is pretty good, but I do have a couple of small issues with it, but I'll talk about those later. First off, the cockpit is very nice. It does have a very nice bezel around it, but it does have a smaller cockpit. And this is one of the very few TIE fighters that you can't actually see through the cockpit. It's just a black piece behind it. And you can open it up, and you can put a figure right there. You just grab your TIE Pilot, and you just slide him in there. He isn't attached to any studs. It's just all tile. And there are 2 nice control panels right there. But one issue is that when you close it, it can sometimes get caught on that little brick, which can be annoying. Then, of course, in the middle, you do have 2 star shooters, which we all know how those work. You just push down, then they fire. And I have no idea where those went. Now, the second area. Thing I wish is that LEGO incorporated some sort of missile mechanism right there, because it was on the previous one. So, yeah. And underneath, it does have that little thing, which I am pretty sure is some sort of targeting system. And there are those little 2 stamp pieces. And the design on the wings are very nice. They do use clips to achieve the angle, so I guess you could angle them outwards like that, but that doesn't look good. But they do have the very nice gray border around it, and even a printed tile right there. And the same is on the other wing. And they are actually connected pretty well, like, hey, if you shake it, they're probably not going to be falling off. And in the back, there is a very nice design for the engines. Now, the actual bombing feature. I do have a couple issues with it, but first I'll show you how it works. So the way that it works is it actually uses some flick fire missiles, but you don't actually flick them. All you do is you just push them out, and then they just fall from the bottom. So like I said, you just grab it, and then you just push down from the top, and then they all just fall out. Which, yeah, the features work, but I do have a couple issues with it. First up, I'm not a huge fan of the design of the actual bombs. I'm not a huge fan of the yellow. I just think that it sticks out too much. And also reloading isn't very fun. So you gotta manually flip it over and put every single one right back in, which isn't very fun. And a lot of people like to display their sets, and having those on the top just doesn't look that good. So for the actual mechanism of the bombs dropping, I kind of wish that LEGO went in the direction of the last TIE Bomber, because with the last one, you just pulled from the back, and then a bunch of studs would fall out, which I think that was actually a pretty good design. So I kind of wish that LEGO went similar to that route, but with the old one, the bombs fell off from this side. And before I forget, there is this little cart included, which is nice. You can just put a figure right there and have them hold the handlebars, and it does include 2 extra bombs, which aren't actually held in by any studs, but they do stay in there pretty well. And there are some inverted parent pieces on the bottom, and some lights. So, should you pick up the set? I personally would recommend that you do. It is pretty good, and the price isn't that bad, and it does look very nice on your shelf and for display, and it's not bad for play. And you can find paying sealed ones on like eBay or Bricklink for pretty cheap. So I'll give this set like an 8 out of 10.